I grew up believing that blood was thicker than water. My sister, Alina, and I were inseparable as children. We shared secrets whispered in the dark, clothes we couldn't afford to buy two of, and dreams that stretched far beyond the four walls of our small home. I trusted her with everything, my hopes, my fears, my very sense of self. She was the one person I thought would never betray me. But betrayal has a way of creeping in quietly, like a shadow that grows longer with time. And when it comes, it doesn't just cut, it destroys. It started the year I was accepted into university. It was the opportunity one had worked for since I was a child, pouring countless nights into my studies, sacrificing parties, relationships, and sometimes even my health. My acceptance letter was not just paper. It was a lifeline, a ticket out of poverty, and a chance to build a future my parents had only dreamed about for us. I remember the day I received it. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. Tears blurred my vision as I read the words. "Congratulations, you have been admitted." Alina hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe, whispering, "I'm so proud of you." In that moment, I felt safe. I felt loved. I had no idea that behind her smile, jealousy was already taking root. Our family wasn't wealthy. My father had passed away years earlier, leaving behind debts instead of savings. My mother worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. The only way I could attend university was through a scholarship, and even then, the little money I had saved would need to cover essentials: books, transportation, and living expenses. I thought we would manage somehow. But Alina saw things differently. She had always envied the attention I received for my grades, the praise from teachers, the way relatives would talk about me as the one who will change the family's destiny. Alina, on the other hand, had struggled in school. She was beautiful, charming, and clever in her own way, but she never thrived academically. I never thought it mattered. I believed we each had our own paths. But to her, my success was a reminder of her failures. The first sign came when I noticed her being unusually quiet whenever people congratulated me. She would smile politely, but her eyes told another story, something colder, something guarded. I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was just tired. Weeks later, when it was time to finalize my scholarship paperwork, I discovered something that nearly made me collapse. My documents, my scholarship acceptance forms, my financial aid letters, even my identification papers, were missing. I tore apart my room, searching everywhere, but they were gone. Panic consumed me. Without those papers, my future was gone too. I went to my mother in tears. She was confused, concerned, but she didn't know what could have happened. That night, while I sat hopelessly staring at the empty spot where my documents should have been, Alina walked into my room. She looked almost guilty, but her words were sharp. "Maybe it's a sign," she said. "Maybe you're not meant to go away. You'll leave us behind, forget about us, and then what? You think the world is waiting to welcome you with open arms?" I stared at her, stunned. "What are you talking about, Alina? This is my dream. This is our chance. I can help the family once I graduate. Why would you say that?" Her jaw tightened. She didn't answer. She just left. Days passed. I went to the scholarship office, desperate for a solution. They told me my documents had already been submitted. By me. Confusion turned into horror as I learned the truth. Someone had stolen my identity, forged signatures, and redirected the financial aid. That someone was Alina. I confronted her, my hands trembling, my voice breaking. "You took everything. Why? How could you?" She didn't deny it. Instead, she exploded. "Because I'm tired of living in your shadow. Do you know what it feels like to be invisible? To hear every day that you're the smart one, the special one, while I'm nothing. I deserve a future too." Her words cut deeper than any knife. My own sister, the one I trusted most, had betrayed me. Not a stranger. Not an enemy. My blood. I felt my entire world crumble. My dreams, my trust, my very identity, sold out by the one person who was supposed to protect it. But betrayal is only the beginning. What I didn't know then was that Alina's greed would spiral into something darker, something far beyond stolen papers. And soon, I would find myself standing at the edge of revenge I never imagined I was capable of. The days after discovering Alina's betrayal felt like living in a nightmare I couldn't wake from. Every corner of our small house seemed haunted by her lies. The smell of my mother's cooking, the sound of neighbors greeting each other outside, even the sun streaming through my window, it all felt mocking, as if the universe itself was laughing at my pain. I tried to stay quiet. I tried to swallow the rage boiling inside me. But how could I? My life had been ripped away. The university confirmed it. The scholarship was no longer in my name. The money had been claimed. And Alina, my sister, had already used it. She didn't just steal my future. She spent it. I found receipts hidden in her room. Designer clothes, makeup, jewelry, nights out at expensive restaurants. While I sat in silence, trying to figure out how to rebuild my shattered dreams, she was parading around like a queen with money she never earned. The worst part. My mother had no idea. Alina told her I had changed my mind about university, that I didn't want to abandon the family. At first, my mother believed her. She even looked at me differently, as though I had betrayed her by giving up. It broke something in me. One evening, after dinner, I tried to tell my mother the truth. My voice shook as I explained everything: the stolen documents, the forged signatures, the receipts. But before I could even finish, Alina cut me off. "She's lying," Alina said coldly, her eyes burning into mine. "She's just jealous because I finally have something for myself." My mother's gaze shifted between us, uncertain, torn. And then, "God, I'll never forget this," she said softly, "you two are sisters. Don't let envy destroy you." It was like being stabbed in the chest. My own mother couldn't see the truth. Alina's lies had poisoned her too. That night, I cried until my body shook. But somewhere in that darkness, a new feeling took root. It wasn't just pain anymore. It wasn't just betrayal. It was something colder, harder, sharper. Revenge. I decided I wouldn't let her win. The next weeks, I became someone else. Quiet, observant, careful. I watched Alina closely, memorizing her patterns, her weaknesses. I learned where she went, who she spent time with, what lies she told to keep her facade alive. She was reckless, too blinded by her new lifestyle to realize I was planning something. One night, while she was out with friends, I slipped into her room. I knew her vanity drawer was locked, but Alina was careless. She had left the spare key taped under her desk. Inside, I found what I was looking for: credit card statements, loan forms, and a fake ID she had created in my name to access the scholarship funds. It was all there. Proof. But I didn't go to the police. Not yet. No, that would have been too easy, too merciful. Alina needed to feel what I felt. She needed to lose everything the way she made me lose everything. I started small. I exposed her lies to her so-called friends. At a party she attended, I left copies of her fake ID in the restroom where everyone would see. Whispers spread like wildfire. The girl who pretended to be rich was suddenly a fraud in their eyes. I watched from the shadows as they looked at her differently, as if she were poison. Alina came home furious that night, throwing things in her room, screaming into her pillow. She never suspected me. But I wasn't done. Next, I went after her reputation with my mother. One evening, when Alina left her phone unattended, I sent text messages to a few of her contacts. Messages that hinted at scams, debts, and dangerous people she owed money to. When one of those friends showed up at our house demanding repayment, my mother's faith in Alina cracked. Still, she clung to denial. She couldn't believe her eldest daughter could be capable of such deceit. But I could see the doubt growing in her eyes, the way she looked at Alina with unease. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. One afternoon, I discovered that Alina was planning to move into an apartment with some of the scholarship money she hadn't yet wasted. She thought it was her chance to finally escape the family and live the glamorous life she believed she deserved. I saw my opportunity. With the documents I had gathered, the fake ID, the financial records, the forged signatures, I created a package and sent it anonymously to the scholarship board. At the same time, I made sure word reached the authorities. The fallout was immediate. Alina's funding was revoked. The university blacklisted her name. The bank froze her accounts. And then, one evening, as we sat at dinner, 2 officers knocked on our door. They had questions about identity theft, forgery, and fraud. I'll never forget the look on her face. Shock, fear, betrayal. The same look I had worn weeks before. But as satisfying as it was to watch her world collapse, I wasn't prepared for what came next. Because betrayal doesn't end neatly. It unravels deeper truths, darker secrets. Secrets I never expected to learn about my sister, about my family, about myself. And what came next would make me question whether revenge had really set me free, or trapped me in something far worse. The night the officers came was the night our family cracked open like glass under pressure. My mother stood frozen in the doorway as the police questioned Alina. Their voices were calm, but their words cut through the air like blades. Fraud, identity theft, forgery. Alina denied everything at first. Her eyes darted between me and my mother, searching for an ally. But I kept my face stone cold. My mother, though trembling, could no longer defend her. The weight of the evidence was undeniable. The officers didn't arrest her that night, but they made it clear an investigation was underway. Her accounts were frozen, her spending halted, and her dreams of a new apartment were gone. Alina's carefully constructed world was collapsing, and she knew it. 4 days, the house was suffocating. Silence hung in the air, broken only by Alina's occasional outbursts, slamming doors, muttered curses, venomous glares directed at me when she thought my mother wasn't watching. But one night, she confronted me. "You did this," she hissed, her voice trembling with rage. "You think you've won, don't you? You think you've destroyed me. But you don't understand, little sister, you've only just begun a war." Her words sent a chill down my spine. But I refused to flinch. "You destroyed yourself, Alina. I just gave the world the truth." She laughed bitterly, a sound filled with something unhinged. "Truth? You want the truth? Fine. Let me tell you something you don't know." And then, in the dim light of our shared past, she revealed a secret that changed everything. It turned out, my scholarship hadn't been the first thing Alina stole. For years, she had been siphoning money from my mother. Small amounts at first, cash that went missing, bills that were mysteriously higher. My mother, exhausted from her endless jobs, never noticed. But Alina had built a hidden stash long before my scholarship. And worse, she hadn't acted alone. There was someone else. A man. A so-called friend who had promised her a way out of our life of poverty. He taught her how to manipulate systems, how to forge documents, how to make quick money disappear into untraceable accounts. He was the one who pushed her to take my scholarship money. As she spoke, her voice shifted, less anger, more desperation. "I didn't want to hurt you," she whispered, her eyes glistening. I wanted a life too. He told me I deserved it. That I'd never be more than your shadow unless I took what I deserved." Hearing her, I felt a storm of emotions. Rage, pity, grief. For the sister I thought I knew. For the family we could have been. But pity didn't erase betrayal. The investigation moved quickly. The evidence I'd provided, combined with Alina's connection to this man, made her case difficult to defend. The day she was taken away for questioning, my mother broke down. She clutched me, sobbing, whispering, "How did we get here? My daughters, my girls." I wanted to comfort her. I wanted to believe justice was being served. But deep inside, a gnawing guilt was growing. Because the truth was, I had chosen revenge, not reconciliation. I had exposed my sister, destroyed her, and in doing so, I had shattered what little remained of our family. Months passed. Alina was charged but not imprisoned. Her cooperation against the man she'd been involved with spared her from the harshest punishment. She came home, but nothing was the same. The house was colder, quieter. She barely spoke to me. My mother lived in a state of fragile silence, torn between her daughters and me. I should have felt triumphant. I had taken back control. I had proven that betrayal has consequences. But instead, I felt hollow. Because here was the truth no one tells you about revenge. It doesn't heal you. It doesn't bring back what you lost. It doesn't erase the nights of crying into your pillow, the dreams that slipped through your fingers. Revenge only replaces one wound with another. One evening, I found Alina sitting in the dark, staring at nothing. Her voice was barely a whisper when she said, "Do you hate me?" I hesitated. My instinct was to scream yes, to let all the anger spill out. But instead, I said nothing. Because the truth was more complicated. I hated what she did. I hated the lies. But deep inside, beneath all the rubble, she was still my sister. And that was the cruelest part of betrayal. It doesn't erase love. It twists it, poisons it, leaves you unable to hold on but unable to let go. Looking back, I've learned something painful but necessary. Betrayal comes from those closest to us because only they have the power to break us so deeply. And revenge, sweet as it feels in the moment, can never rebuild what was lost. Alina and I still live under the same roof, but we're strangers now. We pass each other in the hallway, avoiding eye contact, pretending we're not haunted by the ghosts of who we used to be. Sometimes I wonder, if I had chosen forgiveness instead of revenge, would things be different? Would we have healed? Or was the wound too deep from the start? I'll never know. But I do know this. Betrayal changes you. It hardens you. And sometimes, the scariest twist in a story of revenge is realizing that the person you've become is no longer the person you were trying to protect.